Well, Cambo, end of year 2 of your stint in charge, first year back in Div 1. How would you sum it up in your own words?
Frustrating, I think. Look, really proud of the way we've gone about it. I think we've shown at times that we are as good as any team in this competition. And then there's been a couple of moments where we probably slipped up, which has really cost us. You know, you look at the Lancashire and the Worcester losses, you think we shouldn't have been losing those games of cricket, and you know it's one of those what ifs, of course, but you throw a couple of wins on there and then suddenly you're competing for a title, and again that just shows how close we are. You know, we're very confident with the squad that we have. Yes, we started to run out of puff at the back end, but that happens when you have fast bowlers go down, you got blokes getting picked for England, a few holes appear, and again, I say I sit here a bit frustrated, but then I also sit here really excited, because if I had told you that we'd have a 16-year-old opening the bowling against Surrey and a 19-year-old opening the bowling at the other end and a 19-year-old opening the batting, I think we'd all go, Coach has lost it. What's he on about? But we have, and we're excited about it.
We'll get on to the young guys later on. First of all, you've always spoken about, I remember back to our conversation last year, you love a challenge, you love putting yourself up against the big boys. You mentioned some of those wins. We turned over Somerset here in under 2 days. We gave Essex a really good fight here. We had a good high-scoring draw down at Hampshire. So we've not exactly jumped in at the deep end and not been able to swim. We have held our ground at times. How is that giving you the enjoyment? Because we all know we know what you like, and we know that you like the challenge. How nice has that been to be right back in it?
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's been awesome. Like I say, I sit here, I'm a little bit frustrated, but then I sit here really, really proud of how we've gone about it. We poor start to the season because it rained, and then playing in a weird game at Warwickshire with under 12s boundary on one side, and even then we made 550, but had to follow on, which was kind of weird. But look, you go up against the big boys, you got to play, and you got to play well. And what I'd say is that we found that we did kind of turn off for a little tiny period of a game, and that can hurt you in this standard of competition. But I think that we'll sit down at the end of it all with the group, look at each other and go, you know what? I think we know what we've got to do now. We understand. And you've got to remember, a lot of our players had never played First Division before. They didn't even understand it. They'd never even been to some of the grounds. I thought I was the newbie going to a new ground. It was like, some of the lads legitimately had never been there before. So, you learn so much in this game. We always talk about coming to the office every day trying to get better. Well, this is a game where you can learn a lot on the spot. So, yeah, look, I'm sitting here very proud of how we've gone. I'm sure we'll talk about the T20 as well, which we always said we needed to improve on. But end of the day, we now know what we want to do. We now know what we need to do, and we'll plan accordingly.
Can you read my mind or something? Because the next question is directed at the T20 side. First time we've got out of the group in a fair while. We saw some mixing and matching with the squad size and the players involved, and obviously it was unfortunate we didn't have bedders available for the quarter-final down at Surrey due to his South Africa commitments. But again, just speak to that pride of you took over a group that last year I don't think we showed much at times of getting out the group, and then this year we left it pretty late. We had to go down to Derbyshire, and we have to rely on other results going our way. But we got there, the boys got to play Tuesday night lights under the sky at the Oval, big game. Like, how proud are you that in kind of year 2 we saw that massive jump from our T20 side?
Yeah, again, undoubtedly proud, that's the word for it. That, I came here and, my big mouth said that we want to be the best team in England and the best club in England, and to do that, you have to be good at all formats, and we are on that path. We knew that we had to improve our T20 game. I think the T20 game is so exciting that, we want our fans to enjoy the thrills and spills of, big games and finals. And so we needed to make a few changes. We changed our whole formula to our T20 team, where we only played 3 fast bowlers and we played extra spin, which is something we've never done before, which raised a few eyebrows, of course, but because we're at the Riverside, we always play fast bowlers, that I always get told. But, if you want to do the same thing over and over again, that's the definition of insanity. So we had to change things. We had to work, we had to turn Michael Jones, who's an opening batter, into a power hitter, number 6, number 7, which, no doubt the fans were looking at me going, what the hell is going on with the coach? But that's the things that we had to do. And now we're going to lose Michael Jones. So we're going to spend a winter producing someone else. It could be a Ben McKinney, it could be a Hayden Mustard, it could be Emilio Gay. We're going to change someone because we know in the T20 format you've got to have power hitters. You need to be able to clear ropes. And so in the end of the day, look, we got to the quarterfinal and that was so exciting. Playing against Surrey, we didn't have our overseas players, whatever happened. That's how it is. That's the scheduling. And that's above my pay grade. But what I want us to do is not to be so excited about making the quarterfinal, because we want it to be part of the normality of Durham cricket. So for the first time, we're going to say it's exciting, but now we want it to be every year. We want to go to finals day. We want more. And that's the only thing I can ask our players. Don't take for granted that you made to the finals once, because no one's just going to hand us a final spot every year. We have to earn it. And that's going to be an exciting course as well that we're going to take during this off-season.
You mentioned the young guys about, having a 16-year-old play on debut at the Oval and open the bowling for us. Going from James Minto to Daniel Hogg to Ben McKinney, what has stood out to you to give you guys and the coaching staff the confidence? I highly doubt anyone had heard of James before you picked him in the One Day Cup squad, and everyone's going, what's Campbell on here? What is he doing? But so first of all, what gave you the confidence to pick James, and then what happened, and then similarly with Daniel and Ben as well?
Well, we have full faith in our academy. John Windows has been unbelievable for us, producing that many players. It's ridiculous. So we have full faith in our system. And I'll admit that when James Minto happened to be playing before our training session one day, I might have sat on the boundary line and might have got Alex Lees to come sit with me and have a look, just to sort of sow the seed. But, they're the little things that you have to do. We know that Daniel Hogg, we had a plan for Daniel Hogg to hopefully play a game. In fact, we had pretty much planned a season that he was going to play at Surrey. That was the ground. If we could stack the chips as much in his favour, Surrey we thought was going to be a place where we could give him a debut. But at the end of the day, we needed him earlier. But, the faith was there. We knew that he was coming along. Mate, 6'9", bowls nearly 80 clicks an hour, 80 miles an hour. Not a lot really it's not a lot of risk that I'm taking, to be honest.
The questions are already answered for you.
So, but again, those kids got to show it. We knew how good McKinney was, and again, some people will say he should have played earlier. But the facts are he had to force his way into a pretty strong batting lineup. Last year we saw our batting lineup tear shreds off everyone, and this year they were pretty good as well. So we had to wait for the right time, the right place, and Ben had to earn it himself. And it's not by accident that suddenly he makes 100 in the Metro Cup and then he plays his next game, because that's the art of, not saying good coaching, but art of coaching is to get the guys when they're at their best, and make sure that he feels confident, and not just him, but the people around him are confident in him, so they can just also add to the whole. It's almost the smoke screen really of debuting at this level. So look, we'll always believe in our youngsters. I think people know me now that I'm always going to expose as many youngsters as I can, as long as they're surrounded by experienced people who can help them and take the load off them. and for the future of Durham cricket, we have to keep producing young players, because the facts are, history shows, once we produce them, they generally go to England.
You mentioned kind of at the back end of the season, injuries start piling up a little bit. Potsy and Carse, as you kind of alluded to there, they get called away with England. Ben Raines missed the last game as he deals with, as he waits for the birth of his first child. How impressed have you been with the resilience of the bowling group, and how pleasing is it that having someone like Graham Onions in there being brought back at the start of this year to help oversee that? You know, we've missed Paul Coughlin at times again this year as well. So how proud are you of the resilience that the guys have shown to step up? You know, Hoggy taking, I think, 10 for on debut over in the match, and then having Bunny back in there as well to help be that overseeing figure on the coaching side of things.
Yeah, of course. You know, like, to win a championship, you need bowlers. You need fast bowlers. I've said it all along. You need to take 20 wickets in every game. Batters, just hurry up and get us the runs so that we have more time to take those 20 wickets. Look, at the end of the day, you need a big group. We know that. We're not like an Essex where they have Cook, Porter and Harmer who bowl, and now Snater, pretty much play every game, bowl all the overs. That's brilliant. If we had that, that'd be great. But, you know, we're a bit different. We're going to always change. We need more fast bowlers up here. We've got Parky, who's done a really good job as well, and still developing and finding his way. So, you know, Buster Later's probably played more games and bowled more overs in red ball than he thought he was going to have to. But, you know, we all know that that is what makes us a good squad, is that blokes are going to put their hands up when they can and when they, you know, they demand a place, because that is championship cricket. It's going to take a few. You're going to have injuries. Like I say, we've had, I think Ben Raines missed 2 games waiting for a baby. Colin Ackerman missed 2 games waiting for babies. We've had stuff come out of left field and right field that have kind of thrown us away. But, you know, I'm very proud of the whole group. And of course, you know, Graham Onions came in and has done a great job. We knew that we needed to make sure that we're going to look after the young bowlers with a guy that's been there and done that, and especially a northeast guy that's been there and done that and has helped them out so well. But I'll say that with our whole coaching staff. You know, we try and surround the guys with the best possible people, and, you know, my staff here have been absolutely awesome all year and have been for a number of years. So, you know, hopefully we're all getting better and we're all learning, and every day we come to work we have a smile on our face and we enjoy it.
You mentioned having experience around. England Test captain doesn't exactly harm that. Obviously, first, as I mentioned it at the time, I think we spoke pre-Somerset, just having Stokesy around is such an uplifting experience for everyone. How has it been for you personally to build that relationship with him firsthand rather than on the other side of an Ashes rivalry? and then the ability as well from the Durham point of view that he's not just England's player, he's our player as well, and we get to see him play for us.
Well, that's the one thing that has really taken me aback. He's not the England captain. He's Durham. He is so Durham through and through. That boy loves what we do here. He would go out of his way to help. You know, and again, I'm not here to embarrass him, but, you know, there's little things behind the scenes. He was training with our second team because the first team was away. Had a quick hit, but then picked up a sidearm and threw for an hour to all the young fellas and talked to them about batting before he had his hit at the end. He just waited to make sure everyone else had a hit. But I can't buy that off a shelf. You know, Ben McKinney sitting listening to Ben Stokes talk about batting and what he's thinking and his preparation. Like, it's ridiculously good for us. The fact, I'm not saying that Ben Stokes picks Brydon, Carse and Matthew Potts, but, you know, being able to play with him and see what those boys can go through and how much they, you know, are still giving at the end of the day, that tells something about your character. And Stokesy obviously sees character as a big part of his England team. So, look, I think Durham, when you look at it, we should be very proud of what we produced up here. We probably produce more England players that we have a right to, because we are only a 30-year-old county and we're perceived as one of the small guys. But, you know, our ability to produce England players is unbelievable, and you know, I take that part of my job really seriously, even though I'm Aussie, and even though I love watching Australia beat England. But I got to admit, you know, I watched the One Day International here like a father watching two kids. Of course I wanted Australia to play. I had a beer with Mitch Marsh the night before, but then I'm watching Carse and Potts bowl, and I'm hoping they do really, really well. And you know, it's like when people ask me who's my favourite kid. It's like, you know, not sure.
Can't pick.
Depend on what sort of day it is. But look, it is something I take very seriously, and I hope Ben McKinney, for instance, is the next one off the rank. I hope that I get Ollie Robson into the Lions tour, and he goes and makes runs and reminds the England selectors that he's bloody good as well. And there could be space for both Smith and Ollie in the same team. There's so many guys coming through that, yeah, it's a good job to be in.
You mentioned Carse and Potsy there. Obviously, Carse's gone through a lot this year. We'll tag on to the back end of it to start with. The maiden test call up for Pakistan. After what he went through early in this year, you kind of mentioned their proud father watching him play here a couple of days ago against Australia. How, again, just speak to that level of, you know, happiness, and considering, you know, you build your relationships with the players, and speaking to Brydon and going through it all, like how proud were you to see him come out the other side of it and then get rewarded with that call up?
Well, you know, I saw that boy sitting in Warwickshire after being told the news, and I didn't know what was going on. None of us were being told what was happening, and he was a broken man. And to watch him go through what he's had to go through, and continue to fight and continue to come into training with purpose, I've got to say to Marcus North and Susan Dale, our physio, who looks after not just their bodies but their minds as well, but what those guys, how they helped him get through and continue to help him. And you know, we believe this club is so good because it's a family. It's, you know, I joked about Rain and Ackerman missing games for babies and stuff, but of course they have to do that. Family is always first. And you know, so when one of us is down, our job is to pick that boy up and help him and do whatever we can for him. Did we think that he was going to get picked for England straight away? Yeah, hopefully it was going to be a no, so we could have him for at least a month. But the facts are, Brian's going to play a lot for England. Potsy's going to play a lot for England. And that is part of it, you know, and we hope that they do really well. I've watched him play white ball, and I know Brydon's good at white ball, but I honestly believe his future's in Test cricket. I think that boy could play Test cricket for a long time to come, with both bat and ball. And you know, he's 28 now, but he's had his fair share of injuries. So really, if you thought about him as a car, he's only probably got 20,000 Ks on the clock. Really, he's a pretty newbie at 28.
He's ready to keep going.
Yeah, you know, we wish him all the best. Of course, you know, England have got India and then Australia next year, two massive series, and our boys are going to be right in amongst it. You would have thought.
They're also showing the blueprint for our younger guys like a James Minto, like Dan Hogg, that there's a clear pathway to getting to the England squad from here. Again, just that experience of having guys here who've been there, done that. You know, our mid-order batters can now look up to Bedders, now making it with South Africa on the test side of things, and looks like he's kind of on the verge of the white ball setup as well. So how, again, the work that the staff do behind the scenes to help build those guys up, but then having the experience, how important is that? And then following up, we probably are going to be missing Potsy and Carse in particular a lot next year. How are we going to manage without those boys?
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is, when Marcus and I first sat down and discussed Durham cricket and where we want to be, one of the things that we spoke about at length was we want to be a destination club. We don't just want to produce players and then everyone wants to leave and, you know, go to other places. And you see, you know, some of the bigger clubs, they've got the cash and they can, you know, offer things that we can't. But if we do everything right, we work hard, the way we play, the style of play, like I said, surround the players with good people, it'll build. And of course, we want as many Northeast lads playing for our club as we can, and there'll always be spots. The academy, the pathway is there, but we're going to need guys from out of town as well. And for all of a sudden, we've seen it already, people are coming to us. They want to come, they want to be a part of what Durham is building, because I think most of the country can see what's happening up here and they want a part of it. And they know that, you know, in the old days, they might have thought, oh, well, if you go somewhere like that, you're never going to play for your country. Well,
or it's a step to somewhere else.
A step to somewhere else. Well, I think that's all changed now, and we'll continue to do so, and our doors will be open to the right people, as long as they've got the right character, which is number one importance for me, and obviously a skill set that we need. This squad will continue to build. It'll get bigger and stronger, and, you know, things start to happen once that happens.
You mentioned there adding the right people from other clubs, from other places that have the right skill set, the right character. Your first two Red Bull signings permanently were two from Leicestershire in Cal Parkin and Ackers. How much have you seen them add to the group this year with all their different experiences? Obviously, Cal brought a lot of white ball experience of being a frontline bowler. You did change his role a little bit. You opted to play him in the power play, as you alluded to earlier, and then Ackers, you've seen him up close with the Dutch, you've seen him kind of do it everywhere. How much have they added to this group?
Oh, massive amounts. You know, Ackers is just this calming influence that, you know, professionally what he brings to the table, you know, with both bat, ball, fielding. He has been absolutely outstanding for us. And remember, broke his finger at one point, which unfortunately I did because I whacked it at him, but which is probably my
were there some words thrown your way by him?
Yeah, one regret for the year, but you know, he is a quality individual as a person and as a player. And again, like I was about to say, we also had to throw him around a bit in the batting order because, you know, probably number 3 is not his perfect position, but never did he moan or groan about it. He did the job, and, you know, when he's batted at 6 or when he's batted at 4 or 5, he has been thrown around a little bit. Wherever we needed a gap filled, he was kind of our man that we knew could do the job. And, you know, down the track, he will get a solid position where we don't have to move him. And I think, as you've seen recently, batting at 6, he becomes a very, very tough opponent when, you know, teams think they're almost through us, and then someone...
Colin Ackerman walks out to the middle.
And, yeah, so he's been obviously fantastic, and same with Parky. Parky's still learning about red ball. That's the thing. I reckon Cal is, and he'll put his hand up and say the same thing. I think he had to bowl so negatively at times in his former club that was almost like his DNA.
Natural. It becomes
natural. And so for us to go, hang on a minute, mate, it doesn't matter if you get whacked. I just want you to take wickets in the second innings. I just want you to go attack and do whatever you want to do. It's like, you know, that's been a bit of an eye-opener for him. But what I've seen is improvement, and that's what I ask of all of our players. I think he's getting, the pennies almost dropped there, and I think every time he bowls in red ball now for us, he's going to take another step forward, and that's exciting. And whatever he does in white ball, you know it's going to be pretty good as well. So yeah, again, another good character. Terrible footballer.
Did he pick up the ban from earlier in the year?
Well, he continues to get yellow and red card. They actually put him as goalie now, so he doesn't get carded so much. But yeah, that's one thing he hasn't pulled that well.
Coming towards the end of it here, I think it's safe to say white ball, on the outside, it feels as if something has clicked this year amongst the group. Do you put that down to time? Do you put that down to the additions? Do you put that down to just the experience of having gone through certain situations that we now know how to deal with? What has clicked for the white ball group this year?
I think what has clicked is that we have accepted we can look at white ball cricket differently. Instead of just thinking at it as through the normal lens, looking at it through the normal lens, I've asked players to ask questions and different questions and ask them to do different roles and ask them to look at the game differently and why would someone do this or why would someone do that. And all of a sudden there's this belief that, there was talk that we brought the boundary rope in here. Yeah, we did. 3 metres. It's not very much. It's 3 metres. But suddenly there's this belief, well, we can clear ropes now. It's a bit easier. It's like, it's only 3 metres and you guys hit the ball anyway. But if that's what it took for them to believe that they can hit more sixes, then so be it. But like I say, I think we look at the game differently. Yes, we've changed our structure a little bit. And then now it's just belief. Michael Jones, does he believe he can hit 4, 5 sixes in the last 8 balls to win a game? Does he believe when he goes to Surrey and we're 6 for 60 that he can build us a score? And that's what I'll go back to. And again, I'm not having a crack at Lancashire here at all. But they were 6 for 60 and got bowled out for 100 and lost in their quarter final. We were 6 for 60. But I swear to you, we still thought we could win. And then we got 160 and we thought we were the dominant team in the game. And then obviously we still lost. But I think that mindset has changed now that we believe in, especially in white ball, we can win from any position because we trust every player in that side and they think the same thing. So, like I say, it's a beginning. We're far from the finished product, but I reckon it's going to be exciting times ahead in white ball.
One thing we haven't had quite as much luck in is our injury luck for our overseas players this year. What was it? Scott Boland went down on the first morning of his first game. Wags only played 2 or 3 games before he did a shoulder. Only had Peter Siddle for a little bit. Is there an overseas plan in place for next year that you can? I don't want to don't give any names away, but is there anything in the works?
Well, the plan is to try and get someone who doesn't break down. Look, unfortunately, that's cricket. Wagner is the indestructible man, but we broke him literally in his first game of red ball cricket, which is so disappointing because he was such a good fit for us. Of course there's a plan. Marcus and I have already started talking about next year and our pros and what we want to do, what we want to achieve, what we need to get out of our overseas players to make sure that our squad will get through the whole season intact. So all I can say is if the plan comes together, it should be very, very exciting.
Leaving it on the cliffhanger, I like it. And then final 2, what are your plans for the winter, considering the Northeast isn't exactly the nicest place to spend the winter? And then what's your message to our fans and members as we head into the hiatus?
Look, firstly, again, thank you so much. Our fans and members, they're always here. I was lucky enough to be here at the international match and walk around the ground and see 14, 15,000 Northeast people enjoying cricket at this ground, and I know that we can do that all the time, host international games, but also I know that we can bring joy to this area with our team here at Durham because we get great support. Continue to back us because we'll continue to make it exciting. I think they know me by now, I hate draws and I hate bloody doing everything boringly, so keep enjoying the game for what it is because it is a bloody good game. And for me, winter will be a bit of home time, just sit around with my kids, to be honest, and be a dad and, school drop-offs and things like that. No plans to go home this time, really. We went home last year, but for me, it's just going to be enjoying the Northeast for what it is. I live in Durham. I'm going to walk down there and have a beer in the town square as often as I can. And, it won't be long. We'll all have 6, 7, 8, maybe 8 weeks off. We'll be back into it again, and then it all starts all over again. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy the Northeast for everything it's got.